Do you like farming where people work for free, and if they don't work, they get beaten? If you do, you might just be a racist, and or you might be a feudal lord in the land of eternal empires.
Comic Indie Podcast theme song.
It's a podcast for comic books. What else would you expect? Welcome to Comic Indie Podcast. My name is Kenneth Javier, and today we will be doing a book breakdown of the book Eternal Empire by Sarah Vaughn and Jonathan Luna, published by Image. So yes, today we are doing what we call a book breakdown, where we at Comic Indie will take a issue, possibly recommended by the audience or possibly recommended by one of our local comic book store gurus, and we'll basically just kind of read it, summarize it, break it down, do a little bit of spoiling for you guys. But biggest thing of all is we just kind of want to hear what you think and to see if you're teased by the book and interested in moving on to episode number 2 or book number 2. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into issue number 1 of Eternal Empire. So let me ask a couple questions before we go into the summary. Do you like farming? Do you like farming where on the farms people work for free? Do you like farming where people work for free, and if they don't work, they get beaten? If you do, you might just be a racist, and or you might be a feudal lord in the land of Eternal Empire. So Eternal Empire kind of takes place way back in the day, and I might even dare say like almost Game of Thrones style day, because everything looks kind of medieval-ish. Hadn't quite seen a knight or anything in armor, or a Jon Snow type character, but no handguns, no futuristic type things. People are farming with their hands, so they really just I haven't even seen like a shovel or like a hoe or anything like that. So this is some old school farming with some old school hand digging tactics. So this is kind of where we are in the book. We are in a land where there is war. And because there is war, you have soldiers to fight this war. And in order to fight the war, the soldiers need sustenance. And that sustenance they need is food given by the farm labor. So the farmers or the farm labor, they are picking up roots, possibly potato, more looks like a yam, possibly a sweet potato, but I can never really tell the difference between a sweet potato and the yam. And when I have a sweet potato pie versus a yam pie, or is that called a yam pie? They both taste the same to me. So if any of y'all can clarify that in the comment section below, please clarify what is the difference between a yam and a sweet potato, because I don't know, except that they both taste delicious with or without marshmallows. But in any event, back to Eternal Empire, the soldiers need to have sustenance and eat food, and in order for them to eat food and be strong to fight the war, the workers have to dig yams. So our character that we have in the book is a female with snow white hair. They don't call her Snow White, but they call her Snow Hair. Not really quite sure if she has a real name just yet, but that's kind of how she's introduced through the book. And basically, she's digging these yams or sweet potatoes, and she's all like, ugh, I am tired of this. This is really difficult, and this is hard to do, and they really haven't fed us, and we're kind of hungry. But one guy who gets really hungry, he wants to kind of eat some of the food that's intended for the soldiers, but that was a mistake, because now that eaten turns now into a beaten, and he is in trouble, and he is used as an example, so everybody else is kind of afraid to kind of, take a bite of what they're digging. But long story short, guess what? The yam digging worked, because the soldiers were sustained, they were super strong, and they were able to win the war, and the Empress of the Empire is just so thankful to all of her loyal subjects that she says, you know what, guys? I really appreciate all the work that everybody did today to get this job done, and as a reward, tonight we're going to dance, we're going to party, and everybody gets a cup of sweet, sweet Pock nectar. I don't know what Pock nectar is, but that's what they call it. And in any event, it is party time. The night has fallen, and the flames are ablazing. Everybody is dancing, except Snow Hair. She's kind of being a wallflower, kind of hanging out on the side, and a soldier kind of walks up to her and says, hey, why aren't you dancing? And she's all like, you know what? I'm a little tired. I need to take a break from dancing. And then another soldier walks up and says, no. You weren't dancing at all, and that's kind of illegal, and now I'm going to punch you in the face, because this is how we roll. isn't that like kind of an opposite of a Footloose type situation to where, it's the outlawed, tradition of dancing or you're not allowed to dance. But here, they're very passionate about their dancing, and they are so passionate they'll punch a woman in the face. So definitely I do not agree with these soldiers in this time. But in any event, Snowhair is very upset by this, not happy that she got punched in the face. I don't think I'd be happy about getting punched in the face just because I didn't want to dance. But in any event, she says, you know what, I'm out of here, so I'm gonna leave. And as she leaves, you know what? Workers aren't really encouraged to leave, and the soldiers aren't too happy about it, so we're going to have to go fisticuffs again and fight. But, this time she bests them, and she's able to escape. But as she escapes into a blizzard, and it is snowy, it is dark. The soldiers are all like, just let her go. I know we're going to get in trouble, but I'm not dying out there for her. She'll probably die herself. So, what does she do? She prays to the sun god. I did fail to mention earlier that, everybody is praying to a sun god and they love to do chants together. So it's just like, there's this real, I don't know if it's a cultic type thing, but, just more chanting type stuff. You don't have to be in a cult to chant. That's just a reference that I pulled up for some reason. In any event, she prays to the sun god, but it is so dark out there. You see nothing but white pages and speech bubbles, and eventually it just turns into darkness. But lo and behold, the next morning she wakes up. She's able to get out of the snow. So Snowhair climbs out of the snow, and she's able to move to the countryside. She moves out of the snow, and she goes start into the desert, then all of a sudden into the green grass field with some buffalo or yak, and then she even does some recreational fishing with the spear, kind of like, Tom Hanks' Castaway style. She finally makes it to a forest area, and then she sees this vision of heat and warmth. Then all of a sudden, a cloaked gentleman comes up to her, doesn't say a word, but he shows up Johnny Blaze style with flames coming out of his hands and feet, and that's kind of where we end Eternal Empire Book 1. So what do you think? Are you hooked? So before we talk about being hooked and everything, let's kind of jump into the characters. So we have Snowhair here. So one thing about Snowhair is she's a lot different than any of the other workers. All the other workers are have more of a, kind of a darker skin, kind of just long, shaggier hair, but dark hair. But she has white hair. And, she doesn't really, seem to have very many friends or very many allies. Even when she gets kind of punched in the face, nobody really comes to her defense. So, kind of leads me to think that she's kind of a little bit of an outcast or a misfit amongst them. But, there is something special about her. Throughout her, digging of the yams or the roots, she does have these visions of warmth and heat. But she doesn't really say what those visions are about. So definitely, I think you're going to possibly see in some future issues that she has some type of powers that are not quite developed, or maybe that's power of warmth or heat was kind of what drug her or drew her away from the farm to kind of get out of there. But in any event, she's not really down with the beatings. She's not really down with the dancing. So she made her choice and she left. And thankfully, she was able to survive the cold winter storm. So Snowhair, I guess she is a farmer that, farms for the soldiers who work for the Empress, who is at war. We don't really know who the Empress is at this point. All we know is that, hey, she kind of takes care of her folks. But, that's really about it. What are the motivations behind the Empress? Why does she, need slaves to feed the soldiers? Is there not a better way to feed the soldiers? And maybe is the Empress related to Snowhair? Or maybe is Snowhair possibly a prisoner of the Empress? But, I'm not really quite sure if that's the case too, because, if she was a prisoner, I don't think she would have been held so loosely or been able to escape so easily. So, and then the last character that we kind of see is Firehands. Don't really have a name for him, but he has some hot hands and hot feet. And that's all we kind of see. Not quite sure if he's an enemy or if he's trying to fight Snowhair, or if they're going to be allies in themselves. He kind of looks like one of the workers, so he doesn't have, Snowhair himself, but, definitely I think there's something going on with her seeing visions of heat and warmth and actually running into a warm body or warm-handed man. So, who knows? Could it be a hot and heavy romance for Snowhair and Firehands? We'll have to see in issue number 2. So that is our book breakdown of Eternal Empire by Sarah Vaughn and Jonathan Luna. What did you think? Is this something that you would be interested in? If so, they have issues 2 and 3 that'll be flown out there in the future. So let's put a little plugs in for Comic Indie. If you have not checked out the Comic Indie website, go to comicindie.com, where you can find great content, where you can find this podcast here. We can find other great content shows like Cheers to Indie, Star Character Trivia. You can find Draw Fight as well. So we're doing a lot of exciting things. Also look us up on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and Twitter. So we are social mediaing it up, just like all the kids like to do. So definitely check us out there. So for Comic Indie, I'm Kenneth Javier, and thank you for listening to Comic Indie Podcast.